I left Puigcerda at around 10:30, quite late. Yesterday I spent the whole evening in Puigcerda looking for a place to buy a gas canister. By a lucky coincidence, it was Sunday again, and of course all the specialized shops were closed. The supermarkets on the outskirts of the city and the gas stations were no help either, because the canisters found there were of enormous size, intended for purposes unknown to me. As I had already discovered before, in this region it is a lot easier to buy a Kalashnikov assault rifle or a donkey loaded with cocaine bags than a simple gas canister for hiking. In the morning I found out about a building materials store that should have the right gas canisters for me. But due to another lucky coincidence, all the small canisters were sold out, and I had to buy a large gas canister which weighed probably about 1 kilogram. There was simply no other option. Going to the mountains for several days without gas canister would be complete madness. In the mountain conditions, in the rain and cold, the body cools down quickly. And in order to warm up, you need to drink warm liquids, coffee, tea, broth. And this cannot be done without heating up water. That is why a gas canister is absolutely necessary. The weather forecast promised sunshine today. Therefore, I had to cover as much distance as possible. The initial stage from Puigcerda along the asphalt road was several kilometers. Although it seems that the surface is more pleasant for walking, the convenience is disturbed by passing cars. As a result, you have to jump off the road into the grass, where vicious snakes, spiders and other monsters are already waiting for you with open arms, claws, tentacles, whatever. At least I could use trekking poles when walking on the gravel road. The weather started to warm up and was already at least plus 23 degrees Celsius. Puigcerda remains in the distance. The signpost for Refugi de Malniu, 3 hours to go. The climb in the village is very steep. But beyond the village it became even steeper. The first 2 hours and 15 minutes had passed since leaving Puigcerda. After 3-hour non-stop hiking, I took my first break. 15 minutes of rest in the shade, just in time. I also ate 3 juicy tangerines. The backpack was heavy. Stuffed with food, water and huge gas canister, it seemed like it weighed not 18, but about 23 kilograms. A huge field of tree stumps. The forest was probably smashed by a storm, and there was no point in keeping the trees any longer. Refugi de Malniu, 1 hour 35 minutes. In the distance, the Refugi de Feixa was visible, one of the manned shelters for a fee. But my path led further to the Refugi de Malniu. By getting there, I would need to figure out how many hours of daylight I still have left to continue my journey, and where I would spend the night. I began to feel tired. Although I had only walked for an hour, I needed to rest again. A 10-minute rest helped. but I had started to feel little pain in my right leg. Even the tight compression sock didn't help. The pain was minimal and bearable for now, so I could continue my journey. But it was clear that I wouldn't be able to complete any ultramarathons, and I would have to reduce the plans for the distance per day. For the first time I saw a bog so high in the mountains. I filled up water at Refugi de Malniu and even got a cold Coca-Cola. It tasted fantastic. Duckies try to catch some fish. The sign indicates that several fish species live here. Near Refugi de Malniu there was a beautiful meadow with horses, where several tents were set up. I really didn't understand how in this case it was possible to avoid the horses getting entangled in the tent ropes and otherwise crushing these tents. The section after the Refugi de Malniu was rocky and muddy. At one point, the trail started to move along the mountain ridge. The views were simply fantastic. And the realization that you got here by your own strength and willpower is simply inspiring. The last stage to the Refugi de Engorgs was brutal, so I decided to rest and have a little snack. But there wasn't much time, because the sun was already starting to set. What is that cow doing here in this enormous height? She can barely hold on the steep slope and could fall down at any moment. Finally, I reached the Refugi de Engorgs. But the cattle herd nearby made me worry. Knowing that they are almost blind at night, they might not notice my tent and just trample me. But I was too tired to worry, and even to make dinner, so I set up my tent and went to sleep right away.